The morning lights flickered on across Station Hope right on schedule. Commander Greg Harrison stretched in his quarters and looked out the window at the purple sky of Kepler 442. 3 years he had been running this research outpost, and he still loved the view. The alien sun cast strange shadows across the landing pads where supply shuttles sat waiting for the next cargo run. Down in the hydroponics bay, his daughter Becca was already awake and playing with the other children. Her laugh echoed through the station's corridors. 8 years old and fearless, just like her mother had been before the accident. Greg smiled at the sound. This place was home now, not just a job. 147 people lived and worked here, studying this new world, trying to understand how to make it suitable for human life. Dr. Amanda Pierce checked her console in the xenobiology lab. The samples from yesterday's field expedition showed promising results. The native bacteria might actually help with terraforming if they could modify them properly. She made notes in her log, then glanced at the photos on her desk. Her 2 kids, both younger than 10, both sleeping soundly in their quarters. Station Hope was supposed to be the safe assignment, the boring one. That's why families were allowed. Lieutenant Kevin Barnes walked his usual morning patrol through the security section. The job was simple enough. Check the scanners, make sure the perimeter sensors worked, file the daily report. Nothing ever happened out here. They were too far from the shipping lanes, too far from anything important. Just scientists and their families doing research on a quiet frontier world. The alarm started as a soft beep. Kevin looked at his screen and frowned. 3 ships had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Big ships, military configuration. He opened a channel to Greg's office. "Commander, we have visitors. Unknown warships, about 2 hours out if they maintain current speed." Greg arrived at the security center within minutes. He studied the scanner data with Kevin. The ships were huge, maybe 10 times the size of their largest shuttle. Weapon ports covered their hulls like scales on a snake. "Try hailing them," Greg said. His voice stayed calm, but his hands were shaking slightly. Kevin sent out the standard greeting on all frequencies. "Unknown vessels, this is Station Hope, a civilian research facility of Earth. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." The response came back in clear English, but the voice sounded wrong. Too many clicking sounds, like something with too many teeth was trying to form human words. "Human station. You occupy Vacrian territory. This violation ends now." Greg stepped closer to the microphone. "We had no knowledge of any territorial claims in this system. This is a peaceful research facility. We have women and children here. If there's been a misunderstanding, we can relocate. Just give us time to evacuate." The alien voice laughed. The sound made Kevin's skin crawl. "Weakness begs. This is why your kind does not deserve the stars. Your presence here is offensive. Your existence is offensive. We are Vacrian. We take what we want. Prey does not negotiate with predators." The transmission cut off. Greg stared at the screen, his mind racing through options. They had no weapons except mining equipment and personal sidearms. The station shields were designed for space debris, not military weapons. "Sound the evacuation alarm," he ordered. "Get everyone to the shuttles. Maybe we can buy time." The alarms blared through every corridor. People ran from their quarters, grabbing children and essential supplies. Amanda scooped up her youngest daughter and sprinted toward the docking bay. Scientists abandoned their research. Families held hands as they pushed through the crowds. Becca found her father in the chaos. "Dad, what's happening?" Greg knelt down and hugged her tight. "We have to leave, sweetheart. Right now. Go with Mrs. Chen to Shuttle 3. But the Vacrian ships were faster than Greg had calculated. They entered weapons range while the first shuttle was still loading. The lead ship fired without warning. A beam of purple energy cut through space and sliced the shuttle in half. The explosion killed 37 people instantly. Kevin grabbed whatever he could use as weapons: mining lasers, cargo haulers, anything. A few of the former military personnel joined him. They knew it was hopeless, but they had to try. "Get everyone into the reinforced sections," Kevin shouted. "Seal the bulkheads. Maybe some of the labs can hold." Amanda made it to Lab 7 with her children and 12 other people. She locked the heavy door and activated the emergency shields. Through the window, she could see the Vakrian ships moving closer, their weapons charging with an evil glow. The station shook as the attacks continued. The Vakrians were methodical, destroying one section at a time. Greg managed to reach the communications room. His hands flew over the controls, activating the emergency beacon that would send a signal to Earth. It would take 3 weeks to reach home, traveling faster than light, carrying news of what happened here. He recorded a message into the black box, his voice breaking. "This is Commander Greg Harrison of Station Hope. We are under attack by an alien force calling themselves Vakrian. They gave no warning, no chance to surrender. They're killing civilians, children. If anyone receives this, please tell Earth what happened here. Tell them we died trying to protect each other. Tell them the Vakrians did this without mercy." The lab where Amanda hid took a direct hit. The shields held for almost 5 seconds before failing. She used those seconds to push her children into an emergency locker, the kind designed to survive explosions. Her last act was sealing them inside before the wall exploded inward. Kevin and his makeshift defense team lasted longer than they should have. They damaged one Vakrian fighter with a lucky shot from a mining laser. It wasn't enough. The Vakrians responded by targeting the entire security section. Kevin died still firing, still trying to buy seconds for someone to escape. Becca hid in a supply closet, crying silently, clutching a stuffed animal. She could hear the explosions getting closer. She wanted her father. She wanted to go home. Greg's last sight was the Vakrian dreadnought filling his window. He had failed to save them, failed to protect his daughter, his people, his responsibility. The thought cut deeper than any weapon. The emergency beacon launched automatically, a small pod shooting away from the dying station at maximum speed. It contained the black box recording, sensor logs, and evidence of the massacre. It would take 3 weeks to reach Earth. 3 weeks for the message to arrive. 3 weeks while Station Hope became nothing but debris and frozen bodies floating in the dark. The emergency beacon reached Earth's outer detection network on a Tuesday morning. The automated systems flagged it immediately as Priority 1 and routed it to United Nations Space Command headquarters in Geneva. Within an hour, Admiral Christopher Wade stood in the communications center, watching the decoded message play on the main screen. He had seen combat before, fought in the colony wars 20 years ago. Watched good people die in the black. But nothing prepared him for what the black box recording showed. The pleading voice of Commander Harrison, the screams of children, the cold, mocking laughter of the aliens who called themselves Vakrian. Then silence. Christopher played it 3 times to be certain. Each viewing made his jaw clench tighter. When it ended, he turned to his aide. "Get me the president. Get me the full council. Everyone needs to see this. Now." By noon, President Michelle Carter sat in the Situation Room with the Joint Chiefs, intelligence directors, and senior diplomats. The room fell silent as Dr. Nathan Cole from Intelligence played the recording. Some people covered their mouths, others closed their eyes. Ambassador Lauren Chen cried openly when she heard the children. "How many?" Michelle asked when it finished. Her voice was steady, but her hands gripped the table edge until her knuckles turned white. 147 confirmed dead, Nathan reported. 37 in the initial shuttle strike. The rest died when the Vakrians systematically destroyed the station. From the sensor logs, the attack lasted 43 minutes. They took their time. "Do we know anything about these Vakrians?" Michelle looked around the table. Nathan pulled up data on the wall screen. "We've been gathering intelligence for the past 6 hours. The picture is not good. The Vakrian Empire controls roughly 200 star systems. They've been expanding aggressively for the past 50 years. Every species they encounter either submits or dies. They have no concept of diplomacy as we understand it. They believe might makes right, and they have a lot of might. Admiral Christopher stood and walked to the display. Their military is built around intimidation and overwhelming force. They rely on heavy weapons and large ships. Their tactics are straightforward because they've never needed to be clever. When you have the biggest guns, you just shoot first. What about their technology compared to ours? Asked General Eric Lawson, head of ground forces. Superior in raw firepower, Nathan admitted. Their ships are bigger, their weapons hit harder. In a straight fight, ship for ship, they would win. Then how do we respond? Michelle asked. I will not let this massacre go unanswered, but I won't send our people to die uselessly either. Lauren raised her hand slightly. Madam President, we should at least attempt diplomacy. Open a channel, demand an explanation, seek reparations. I agree, Michelle said. Make the attempt. But Christopher, I want you preparing for the alternative. Lauren spent 2 days trying to establish contact with the Vacrian Empire. She sent messages through every known relay, every diplomatic back channel, every possible route. Finally, a response came through. The Vacrian on the screen was tall and covered in dark scales. His eyes were cold and yellow. When he spoke, his teeth showed, each one sharp as a knife. Human diplomat. Your outpost violated claimed territory. This is the consequence. Weakness invites death. Your species will withdraw from all frontier systems or you will be removed. We have spoken. There is nothing more to discuss. The transmission ended before Lauren could respond. She sat in her office for a long moment, staring at the blank screen, then walked back to the situation room. They're not interested in talking, she reported. They view our presence in space as an insult. They consider us weak and beneath notice. In their culture, our willingness to negotiate makes us look even weaker. Michelle looked at Christopher. Admiral, I need options. Christopher activated a holographic display of military assets. We have 73 warships currently in service. Modern, well-maintained, but designed primarily for defense and patrol. The Vacrians have over 300 that we know of. However, he paused and glanced at Nathan. We have advantages they don't know about. Nathan took over the briefing. For the past 10 years, a classified research division has been developing weapons systems based on human military history. We studied every war we ever fought against each other. We learned what works when you're outnumbered and outgunned. Show them Project Hound, Christopher said. The display changed to show new ship designs, weapon systems, tactical doctrines. Nathan explained each one. Stealth technology that made ships nearly invisible. AI-guided munitions that learned and adapted. Psychological warfare techniques. Guerrilla tactics adapted for space combat. Everything humans had learned from thousands of years of fighting each other. The Vacrians have never faced an enemy that fights smart instead of strong, Nathan concluded. They've never encountered a species that turns weakness into advantage. They've never fought humans. General Eric added his assessment. On the ground, our troops are better trained for unconventional warfare. We can support resistance movements on their occupied worlds, turn their empire against them from the inside. Michelle listened to all of it, her face expressionless. When they finished, she stood and walked to the window overlooking the city. Millions of people going about their lives, unaware that humanity stood at the edge of its first interstellar war. I need to put this to a vote, she said finally. The full assembly must decide. This is too big for one person. The emergency session of the United Nations Assembly lasted 6 hours. Representatives from every nation watched the recording from Station Hope. They heard the evidence. They debated the options. Some argued for caution, for withdrawal, for survival. Others demanded justice, demanded action, demanded that humanity stand and fight. In the end, the vote was unanimous. Not a single nation voted against military response. Michelle addressed the world that evening from the assembly hall. Her speech was broadcast to every corner of Earth, every colony, every ship in space. 3 weeks ago, 147 human beings were murdered. They were not soldiers. They were scientists, engineers, teachers, children. They were killed without warning, without mercy, without cause, except that they existed. The beings who killed them believe we are weak. They believe we will retreat in fear. They believe our compassion makes us vulnerable. She paused and looked directly into the camera. They are wrong. We offered peace, and they answered with violence. We offered dialogue, and they answered with contempt. We will not retreat. We will not submit. We will not forget the 147 people who died at Station Hope. Their deaths will be answered. The Vacrian Empire has made war on humanity. Now they will learn what it means when humanity makes war back. The response was immediate. Across Earth, recruitment centers filled with volunteers. Factories retooled for military production. Scientists offered their expertise. Even the most peaceful nations mobilized. Christopher gathered his fleet commanders in the war room. The holographic display showed the local sector of space, with Vacrian territory marked in red. It looked impossible. Too big, too strong, too established. They expect us to attack their border systems, Christopher told his officers. They expect conventional warfare, ship against ship, strength against strength. We're not going to give them what they expect. He zoomed the display to show 12 different Vacrian systems simultaneously. We're going to hit them everywhere at once. Fast strikes, surgical target. The Vacrian supply depot at Helios Station had never been attacked. Why would it be? The station sat deep in Vacrian territory, protected by 3 patrol cruisers and surrounded by early warning sensors. Thousands of tons of weapons, fuel, and supplies moved through it every week, feeding the Empire's expansion. Security Commander Vec barely paid attention to his screens anymore. Nothing ever happened. The same boring patrols, the same routine checks. He was reviewing supply manifests when his console exploded with alerts. A human ship had appeared inside the sensor grid. Impossible. The warning systems should have detected it light years away. But there it was on the screen, already launching missiles at the fuel depot. Vex slammed the alarm and screamed into his communicator. All ships, engage the human vessel. Destroy it now. Captain Daniel Morrison watched from the bridge of the Retribution as his missiles struck home. The fuel depot erupted in a ball of fire that lit up the entire system. He allowed himself a tight smile. Stealth systems performed perfectly, reported Commander Ashley Grant from the tactical station. They never saw us coming until we were right on top of them. Good. Load the next spread. Target their communications array. The 3 Vacrian patrol cruisers lumbered toward the Retribution, their weapons charging. They were bigger, more powerful, but they moved like drunk elephants, predictable, slow. Ashley had studied every piece of Vacrian combat footage they could find. The Empire fought the same way every time. Straight ahead, maximum firepower, no subtlety. She had planned for it. Implementing Pattern Delta 7, she announced. The Retribution dove below the plane of battle, spun 180 degrees, and fired a spread of missiles while moving backwards. The Vacrian ships tried to track it, but their targeting systems couldn't adapt fast enough. 2 missiles slammed into the lead cruiser's reactor. It exploded in a shower of debris. The other 2 ships split up, trying to flank the human vessel. Daniel waited until they committed to their positions, then activated the jump drive. The Retribution vanished from normal space and reappeared behind both targets. "Fire everything," Daniel ordered. The Retribution's main cannons spoke. The second Vacrian cruiser lost its engines and began to drift. The third managed to get its shields up, but Ashley had anticipated that too. The AI-guided munitions she fired learned from the shield's frequency and adjusted their penetration waves mid-flight. They punched through and gutted the cruiser from stem to stern. 3 minutes. The entire engagement lasted 3 minutes. 3 Vakrian cruisers destroyed, the supply depot in ruins, and the retribution had barely been scratched. "Set course for extraction point, Baker," Daniel commanded. "And Ashley, send our recordings to the fleet. Let everyone see what we just did." Similar scenes played out across 12 Vakrian systems simultaneously. Human ships appeared where they shouldn't be, struck targets that should have been safe, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The Vakrians had never experienced anything like it. At Zenith Relay, a critical supply route junction, Vice Admiral Tyler Webb coordinated the largest human assault. 8 human ships against a Vakrian battle group of 23 vessels. The numbers should have meant certain death for the humans. Tyler didn't fight them all at once. He used the asteroid field near the relay to break line of sight, forced the Vakrians to split their formation, then picked them off in groups of 2 or 3. Mining charges hidden in asteroids exploded when Vakrian ships passed. AI drones mimicked human ship signatures, drawing fire and wasting Vakrian ammunition. The Vakrian commander grew frustrated and angry. He ordered his ships to charge straight through the asteroid field. Exactly what Tyler wanted. The human ships had practiced fighting in debris fields. The Vakrians had not. When the battle ended 6 hours later, 18 Vakrian ships were destroyed or disabled. The human fleet lost 1 ship and had 2 damaged. The Zenith Relay was in human hands. Back on the Vakrian homeworld, High Command received reports from all 12 attacked systems. The Senior Military Council gathered in emergency session. They had lost 47 ships in 1 day. 47. Against an enemy that should have been crushed easily. War Premier Gorath slammed his fist on the council table. "How is this possible? These humans have inferior technology, smaller ships, fewer resources, yet they destroy our forces with ease." His intelligence officer hesitated before speaking. "War Premier, the humans do not fight as we do. They use trickery, deception, unconventional tactics. They do not face us with honor." "Honor?" Gorath's eyes blazed. "I care nothing for honor. I care about victory. Adapt our tactics. Learn from these defeats." But the Vakrian military machine could not adapt quickly. Their entire doctrine was built on intimidation and superior firepower. Changing it meant retraining every officer, redesigning every strategy. That took time. Time the humans did not give them. Engineer Brandon Hayes worked around the clock, developing new weapons for the human fleet. His latest creation was the Adaptive Mine Network.